we get started, do you mind if I introduce you? Do you have a...
Absolutely.
Yay. Okay, so I'm really excited because I think, especially in Wisconsin, building community within the clarinet world, I think is super important. And so, especially with Dr. McLaughlin and Dr. Fraley over in Eau Claire, creating these relationships is so exciting. And through them, we've actually teamed up on many different accounts, including bringing University of Oshkosh students into our student coalition for equity in music. And so it's just really thrilling to have you. But let me just talk a little bit about you, if you don't mind. So Dr. McLaughlin is on faculty at Carroll University and the University of Wisconsin-Oshkosh, and is a founding member of the Chicago-based new music ensemble Lakeshore Rush, a nonprofit organization dedicated to the performance of traditional and contemporary music. Woo. Two recent pieces of research include her article published in the December 2020 issue of the Clarinet Journal of the International Clarinet Association, where she interviewed John Bruce Ye, who I actually saw last night.
Oh, nice.
About his varied musical career. And her etude book titled 12 Progressive Etudes for E-flat Clarinet was published last summer, which I had no idea that you did that. I'm going to run out and get it. Dr. McLaughlin got her bachelor's from Eastern Michigan University and her master's from Michigan State University, and her doctorate from University of Wisconsin-Madison. And her primary teachers are Dr. Linda Bartley, Dr. Elsa Ludwig Verder, and Dr. Kimberly Cole. I can't say the rest of her name.
Loeveno.
I just know her by her unmarried name, Kim Cole.
Right, and she's just Kay Cole.
Yeah.
For everybody in all intents and purposes.
Yeah. So the way we're gonna. So first of all, welcome. Yay.
Thank you.
Yeah. So we're going to have a few students play. We're going to do about 15 minutes each. Lexi is going to go first. So what we did with our Lexi is virtual only. So I'm going to share my screen with her performance. You're welcome. It's about 4 minutes long. You're welcome to stop at any time. Lexi is a performance major with a Spanish minor. And this is the end of her second year. So let me make sure I can pull this up. Let me shut down my email. Lexi's going to be performing the two pieces for unaccompanied clarinet by Okamura. All right, I'm sharing my screen. Can I do this?
It is such a beautiful piece. Oh my goodness.
Oh, I know. So cool. I just discovered it actually this December. All right. Everybody see that? Can you see that?
I can see it.
All right. Here's movement one.
Thank you, Dr. Menagerie. Oh, Lexi, gorgeous, gorgeous sustained sounds and practicing stillness. It's so different than what we're used to in the Western canon of music. I'm curious as to how did you come across this piece?
I was, well, for our studio, we wanted to do like unaccompanied pieces, and I just looked up clarinet unaccompanied pieces, and I just listened to a lot of different ones, and I liked this one a lot.
Nice, nice. And I'd say that there's a lot of things that pull me to this piece as well. And I'm curious, are you preparing for anything? Are you preparing for juries? Find a chance?
Yeah, I'm playing this for
Nice.
juries.
Great. I think you're right on track. And something that I always feel like is evident with unaccompanied works, and of course with all music, is that we want to connect our thoughts, our ideas that we're playing in the music with the audience as easily as possible, almost to a point of very obviously so. I can hear some ideas, which is really nice. I can hear some thoughts and plans about where you want to go with the music, where you want to shift to. And I would love to take apart a little bit with the rubato, an idea of of trying a few things out and going from there. So this is something I do with my students a lot, especially when they're trying to convey ideas and emotions, and especially in the canon of unaccompanied music. So, for example, with the rubato opening, do you what um, thoughts go through your mind in terms of how you want to interpret it and shape it?
Um, well, I think like so these first two ideas in the first four measures are kind of like the same thing, sort of.
Yeah, absolutely. How are they different?
Um, well, I
Because you're
would,
right, they're very similar, but yeah, and you're like, sort of. Yeah.
yeah. Um, well, like the rhythms are different, obviously, and they have different notes, but I think like the second one should be louder, I
Ooh,
guess.
I love that idea. Can you try it for me?
Hmm.
Nice. I heard a difference there. I would love to try and have you do this in three different ways. So that was the first way. The second way, um, try something different. Maybe it's something that you want to do or something that you definitely don't want to do. And let's see if we can pick out the difference.
Okay.
Ooh, I heard a tempo change. So it went a bit faster, and then you took more time at the top of the second measure. And then it went a bit more chaotic faster in the third measure or that second statement. Is that what you're trying to do? Or was that a an extension or something that happened in addition to what you were trying to do?
Yeah, that's what I was trying to do.
Okay, nice. Great. So let's go ahead and have you try a third way. And perhaps it's a bit of both way one and two, or it's something completely different. But I always say it's kind of nice to experiment and then try to make what you want to have happen even more obvious and try to be even too obvious. And I'll let you know if it's too much.
All right.
very convincing. I heard some spinning of the air, and then it went a bit faster up to the top and then kind of back again. And then it was a little bit more the second statement. Nicely done. Nicely done. I think what will help with that idea even more is if you can make your second note that you play a bit more full sounding than the first note that you play. So, and then making the third note that you play even louder than the second. Often with clarinetists, we decay very easily. And often when we shoot out our air and make a sound, and especially start that first note, it's the second note that oftentimes decays in sound. So go ahead and give a conscious effort of making each note a bit more than the last, along with the ideas that you're bringing towards it and conveying, because it's really nice.
We have 5 minutes.
Okay, thanks. Oh my gosh, yes, you're getting really, really nice air support and pristine sound. And what I would suggest trying is listening next in terms of interpretation to, because it's based on Japanese folk music, and in specifically it's Minyo, Japanese folk music. So if you YouTube Minyo, Japanese folk music, you'll get kind of an idea of some of these colors and phrases and expressions that are exuding in this piece. So let's go ahead, and I'd love to have you try one other idea. I think that will help elevate what your idea is with that second statement, the third measure. So I see the notes, and this is a very, I'm thinking of my times with Dr. Verder. If you've got one note in front of you as a first statement, so let's say measure 1, you've got our written note B, and then the second statement comes and the notes are lower, you're onto something. It's a bit more, perhaps, more sound, more present, and I would say even more of a darkness in sound. And something that I like to explore to create a darker sound is you can go ahead and take, your thumb and gently press it up and into your top teeth and try to push your top lip down so that your thumb comes off of your top teeth like this. Yeah. And then what you do is you do the same thing with your mouthpiece and put your, top teeth on the mouthpiece, and then go ahead and push your top lip down onto the mouthpiece, and then physically try to push your top teeth off of your top of the mouthpiece. So like this. Same thing. Yeah. And so then to create a darkness in sound, the top teeth always stay on the top of the mouthpiece. However, you're going to continue to push down on that top of the mouthpiece at the same time. Like this. So. So go ahead and try it out when you can start from the very beginning. Ooh, nice dark sound. Excellent, Lexi. And thank you, Dr. Menezre, for the 5-minute warning. I feel like I should have looked now I'll know to look at the clock for like when it's been 5, but I feel like it's probably been 5.
It has. You did it.
Okay. Well done, Lexi.
Yeah, very nice.
Excellent.
You second? So next we have Alex, who will be doing, she has prepared the first and second movement of the Jacob.
Excellent.
Alex is a music education student here, originally from Eagle River, right? River Eagle? Well, she was born in Texas, but her last place before this was. All right.
Nice. I lived in Texas for a year. It's a totally different climate than up here.
Absolutely, yeah. A lot more lizards.
Definitely. I remember I moved down there. Yeah. Oh, and such huge spiders. I saw one that I think it was a spider, at least. It was just so large that I didn't look at it for a very long time. But uh, yeah, Wisconsin is a bit of an adjustment.
We're safe for the most part up here.
Yes, absolutely. Excellent. It's so small on my screen. I was like, let's see if she plays the second movement or if she wants to pause. And I think this is a great idea to let's take one movement at a time. I just love your big sound. It is fabulous. And I think that the place where I'd love to take this is from a place where you're playing at a great volume, at a great projection, and I think I hear some really nice harnessing of tone. And I love to you know, it's a it's a diamond already, and we're just gonna brush it up just a little bit more and talk about it just a little bit more. So for example, when you get to, let's say, one of your biggest volumes, I'd say that happens towards the end of the second measure. I can hear that you're developing some ideas about tongue position and when you get loud, especially. And for those who may not be thinking about this just yet, or for those who perhaps want another analogy or another way in which to think about it, I the goal to me, of course, and I think in general, is to have a really arched tongue position when playing. So, for example, if you say he, like he went to the store, or kicking the ball, or key in the door. One or all of those is going to get what I'd call the middle of your tongue in a really high spot inside the mouth. And to me, it's about creating a shape in the tongue that, if you want to think about it, when you say, let's say, he, the sides of the tongue that touch the insides of the upper molars, he. when you say that word, the goal is always to keep it there, no matter how loud or soft. And to me, it's almost like when I'm playing a pianissimo, the ability to keep my tongue there is like lifting 5 pounds of weight. But when I play something like the second measure of that movement, which you played your heart out and it sounded great, when I do that, it's like I'm lifting 50 pounds of weight with my arm. I don't know if that makes sense. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I think it's, to say it out loud, totally normal that it takes a lot more muscle and strength of the tongue to keep your tongue in the position that you want it to be. So, as in, that's totally normal. Um, and it may at times sound to you like you're not as loud as you could be if you keep it there. However, I'm here to tell you, on the other side of the horn, listening as an audience member, it sounds great. You're not soft at all when trying this out. So let's go ahead and try this concept before putting it into practice. So what I'd love for you to try to do, and anybody with a clarinet, you can try this too, is you could, let's say, try your top line E. And hopefully my mic is not too hot, but I'd love for you to try top line E. And we can start soft for 4 counts, crescendo, and then like the David Weber long tones, if anybody knows those, come back down 4 counts so that, a comfortable tempo is good. T, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and focusing on the tongue position and where it wants to go, so to speak, with the goal being he and arched, what I'd call tongue position. And if I don't keep my tongue up, this is what will sound like, right? So the sound gets really spread. I'd love for you to try it if you could, Alex. So trying the same idea, and then when you're, playing at your very loudest volume with that exercise, trying to push like you're lifting 50 pounds, keeping your tongue in place. Oh my goodness, it was so contained. Nice, nice. Go ahead, and can you try it again and play around with trying to outdo yourself in sound? Yeah, because I love the volume that you're able to give. So go ahead, play around with it one more time. See if you can get louder the second time. Ooh, yeah. And you might find too with this work, because that was so nice, you might find with this work that you'll play around with going up a reed strength too. I know that sometimes I find when it's all clicking into place like that, like it is for you right now, it can then tend to make the reed feel a little soft. But let's go ahead, have you try a exploration of this idea with first 5 bars into bar 6 there, your B flat downbeat. Oh my goodness, bravo. That was so focused. Holy cow. And yeah, right on. I mean, did it?
5 minutes.
Oh, thank you. Okay, looking at the clock, so got it. All right, thank you, Dr. Nazare. I feel like that was still really loud, really convincing, very expression forward while also keeping a really nice round sound. So bravo. It also plays around with tongue placement and voicing. So I call that like voicing growing pains, if you will. So it's kind of getting adjusted, but it just shows that you were doing it and you were doing it well and right and all those things. So let's have you try the I'd say the same idea, jumping into the pickups to the last line. Ti-ya-da, ti-dum. Yes.
Go on, sorry.
Yeah. Oh, that was great. No, that was great. I think that's working really well for you. So bravo. And I think what you're doing so nicely in this movement is you're creating very big moments by um, uh, starting at your softest levels and you're pushing your loudest levels, which is awesome. And I think next, I would say, do you like to think of this in eighth note counts, or do you like to count the quarter note, or a little bit of both?
Definitely eighth note throughout, I would say. It just helps me like be grounded a lot more.
Yes, absolutely. I think it's helpful for so many things, especially with the variety of rhythms. And I'd love to have you try as an exploration, feeling the quarters, because I think you're so steady and grounded and you can feel your way through the eighths so well that I wonder if it's going to take on a different shape and a different phrasing if feeling the quarters. So, for example, can you try from the beginning for me one time and go into the all the way through the first line into the downbeat of the second line, feeling the quarter? Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's at that really fine area of you could go either way with it and feel it in eight or feel it as in eighth notes or feel it in quarter notes. I love the mixture of both in terms of feeling the subdivision really heavily. And then you kind of have this momentum going because it is so slow. It's, quarter note equals 46. So that allows you to kind of feel a forward motion, even though it's absolutely some of the slowest tempos that we'll ever see. Really nice job. Bravo. Thank you so much.
All right, cool. So finally, we have Jace. Jace is second year jazz studies, and I just want to throw out there that this is extremely courageous, as clarinet is his secondary instrument. He's a saxophonist. He's a great saxophonist from De Pere, I learned today. And he has only been taking clarinet lessons for a semester. So he's going to be playing one of the etudes out of the Advancing Clarinetist. So yay,
Fantastic. Nice job, Jace. And I can tell you came prepared today, and kudos because this is a big deal to come in and play in a master class on your second instrument. And remind me, you said this is your first semester of lessons?
Yeah.
Or first semester lessons? Well, there's no one better than Dr. Menezre to tell you and share with you all the fundamentals and basics and artistry on the clarinet. Really. And, I've had a lot of students play both sax and clarinet. And I just had um, a talk last week with a saxophone student who is going to be looking at doing some clarinet lessons as well, and having similar ideas and thoughts about what I want to bring today, which is those differences, the small, minute differences that might happen or that do take place between saxophone and clarinet. Um, and, I'd love to hear from you. What are some of those differences in terms of air and how you hold the mouthpiece? Yeah, please share.
Uh, Definitely like the angle of the clarinet and the angle of the airstream. Because I play a lot of soprano saxophone too, so it's a really bad habit of mine to go out like this, kind of. So I've been fighting myself to keep it straight, and then also like more focused instead of having a wider sound.
Yeah, I can say honestly, for your first semester of lessons as a saxophonist learning clarinet, you've got a great idea of you've got to be way more focused. It sounds great. You're getting a really nice, firm establishment of the muscles around the mouthpiece, making a hug and securely focusing the sound. I think one thing that will help perhaps with the idea of how the angle is different is thinking about how that airstream is different, how you channel the air. And so, for example, for clarinet, um, one analogy is this is honestly a great one for middle schoolers, for those music ed students out there, but like you're spitting a watermelon seed out and it's going downward with the air stream and focusing on trying to almost tickle your chin with the air, as opposed to perhaps I hear maybe it's wanting to shift out a little bit this way, and
Yeah.
rightly so, totally natural because you're a saxophonist, and I wonder if you could try this for me on your top line F, written F, if you could um, go ahead and try a hold for 4 counts, whole note first, and focus on channeling your air on, honestly, ideally, it's if you hold a piece of paper out in front of you, you want to try to blow air in the direction that you touch the bottom of the paper and make it move. So that's something to try out on your own, but take 4 counts, hold it, and see if you can channel your air for you, maybe a bit lower.
Okay.
And then stop. Yeah, that's it. And the next, I'd love to have you try bringing articulation into it. So quarter notes, T, 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 after a hold of 4 counts. So give it a try. Yeah. And then where would you say your tongue is meeting the reed when you're articulating?
I was trying to do the tip of the reed, but I missed it.
Sure, sure. And would you say you can kind of take the same idea that we were talking about before and see if you can say he into the clarinet, he gets the air going and channeled and gets the tongue in the position, because sometimes it may have to do with like the way the tongue is being held in the oral cavity. And so maybe just kind of reaffirming where the tongue placement is, and then yeah, grabbing that top most flat edge part of the reed. Give it one more try, that exercise. Ooh, you're getting a really nice, I think, connection with the reed. And now it's about raising that air pressure through the clarinet a little bit. I sometimes have students do a idea where you sit on the floor, and we won't do it right now just for virtual purposes, but you could try this in the practice room next time. You could sit on the floor and then do like a boat pose where you push back a little bit and you lift your legs up, and it creates a really solid, steady stream of air. I want you to imagine that's what you're doing. So you can go ahead and even play forte. Give it a try. Beautiful, beautiful. Can you have that idea on line and try it on line 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? Line 5. That was stunning. You had a really nice focused airstream and articulation. And you can try this any tempo you want. Maybe you're not really worried about the staccatos just yet, but the action of the tongue. Give it a shot. Ooh, wow, very focused. Bravo, bravo. And then I think what will help is, oh, thank you so much, Dr. Menazre. Now bringing the tempo up just slightly. Bum, 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 bums, or a lot. So maybe how about give it a try right there. Yes, that's it. That's it. And I think that will help a lot in terms of making it easier to articulate on notes, is channeling the air at a slightly different angle. I think another idea that I want to try with you is the waltz feeling, and I think it's getting in your fingers quite nicely. And I think you're certainly ready to try and explore giving it a waltz feeling. So, for example, with the waltz, as we know, the heaviest weighted beat is that downbeat. And then if you think about the lightest weight beat, it's beat 2. And then the second heaviest is beat 3, leaning into 1. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. Can you try it once from the opening? And when you get to your next beat, thinking about the weight in which you're playing. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And I think what will enhance the heaviness and weightedness of 1 is do what you're doing when you get to beat 3, and then try making the second half of beat 3 a little louder. And then it'll kind of give you even more of a dance-like quality. Give it a try. Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. I was like excited for you. Keep on going right where you left off there. That was nice. That's it. And that's also helping you move forward a little bit in time as well, and not feel like, oh, I have to go faster, like a faster tempo, but it allows you to feel a flowing tempo. Really, really nice work. And I'd say try the same idea with that line that we first started on. So this is line 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but feeling the weightedness of the waltz. Yeah, exactly. And the last thing, can you try making and digging out your downbeats even more? I'll let you know if it's too much.
Okay.
Yes. Oh, yes. That's great. Thank you so much, Jace. It's wonderful to hear you play. Add that to the resume, to the CV. I did a master class on my secondary instrument.
Yeah, wonderful job, all performers. So, thank you so much for your insight. That was so helpful. Tongue position is so critical for clarinet, and it's wonderful to hear different ways that other people talk about it and teach it. So that's so helpful for me and all of them. Yeah, they're shaking their heads.
Good.
Yes, they're kind of far away. So. So we'd like to spend just a little time, if you wouldn't mind. I'd love it if you could talk just a little bit about. I mean, you were mentioning the boat pose. I did yoga when I was like 20. So they don't get that experience. Can you tell me? Can you tell us a little bit about it and why it's important?
Yeah, so the boat pose is something that is it requires great muscle and great ability to hold yourself in that position. And I'd be happy to have everyone try this with me right now. I'm gonna try this. What you'll need is a spot on the floor, so those who don't have cameras on, but you can certainly do this, and then you can do this in the comfort of your own home too. Find a spot on the floor. Yeah. And once you're there, what you're going to want to do is lean back and without a chair behind you, so that you're already feeling a firmness in your stomach area, and then go ahead and at the same time lift your legs, and this is your boat pose, right? And due to COVID-19, I'm definitely a little bit out of shape, so like I'm feeling it already, right? And then you can go ahead, relax your feet on the floor. And I'm going to have you try it one more time, leaning back without any arm support and lifting your legs. And as you do so, take a big breath in and then exhale with legs lifted and folding back so that you're in a V formation on the floor. Ready? Go. Lifting legs, folding back a little, and take a big breath in. And then exhale. Yeah, that's it. Exactly. And then you can put your legs back down on the floor. Nice job, everybody. And then you can find a seat back in where you were.
So why is that important?
So what that does is if you try that with a clarinet, it automatically creates a fast laser beam airstream, and the sound changes dramatically if you weren't doing a, say, supported air beforehand. And it forces one to do it because you can't not, otherwise you're going to fall over, right? So it's being able to channel your air and use it in such a way. And I've had great success with students who haven't been able to get higher register notes to speak, or students who are getting a bumpy sound when slurring from second or first register to second register, um, or any number of things where our air is important, which is for everything in clarinet. And yeah, it can be very transformative and is something that somebody can latch onto as a feeling, because you can say all these things and everybody works differently. There's as many minds and ways of learning as there are people in the world. So that's, I think, a kinesthetic way in which somebody can feel it tactilely. And I know I was going to, share a bit about yoga and its benefits too. So a little bit about my background with yoga. I've been practicing on and off for about 10 to 15 years or so. And when I started, after a few years, I started noticing that there were so many connections to the benefits of yoga benefiting musicians specifically. And I decided I wanted to get some more training in this, and I wanted to get formal training in it. So I went to the Ayurvedic Center and Yoga Wellness Center, the Kanyakumari Ayurveda and Yoga Wellness Center in Wisconsin, and got a 200-hour yoga teaching certificate, and so that I could help lead musicians in this work safely and also further understand how the body works, essentially. And you know, yoga means simply union. It's derived from the Sanskrit root yuj, which means to bind or to yoke or to integrate. So unite and integrate the body, mind, and spirit. And so that was a simple way of uniting the body and what it does for us as musicians. Um, and so, there's so many benefits, like it helps to quiet a mind. If one is finding they've got performance anxiety, what often happens when musicians get nervous is they start to think about everybody else, and it takes our thoughts off the music, and you're thinking about that instead. And so through pranayama techniques, which is a breathing technique, and through meditation, it can help train the mind to free itself of those types of thought patterns that inhibit our playing. Yoga can also benefit uh, and help prevent. It can benefit us by helping to prevent repetitive stress injuries. So any kind of nerve impingement or neck issues or wrist issues. So by developing a sense of awareness of, how our bodies work when we play, um, yoga can help us to connect those dots and help prevent us from being in compromised positions, things like that. Yeah, so it's kind of a cool practice that I highly encourage others try. And I'm curious, by a show of hands, has anyone tried any yoga poses or classes? Or if you want to say it in the chat, yes or no, any answer is fine. I'm always kind of curious.
We got 3 in here.
Nice. Cool. And yeah, so like a mixture of things. And I'd say what we could do is kind of go through a breathing technique and maybe one or two poses if you like.
That'd be wonderful.
Yeah, and so it's I think helpful also to know that a lot of the poses are very beneficial because they do opposite actions of what often we do all day, which is sitting and playing, sitting at the computer, sitting and looking at our phone. All of those actions are internal rotations for our arms and for our legs, our hips more specifically. And so by doing a lot of these poses, you're doing external rotations and doing the opposite action. So what I'd love for us to try is go ahead and you can find a seated position again on the floor, and I'll go with you. And those at home, you can find a seated position on the floor as well. And you can cross your legs.
Take a picture of us while we're just talking about it.
Yeah. And by crossing your legs, you're already in an opposite uh, or doing the opposite action of what you do when you're sitting and playing or sitting at the computer or writing a paper, doing a test, sitting in class. So already this is a stretch for your legs. And this is honestly helpful for reducing any kind of weight on your back and doing and harming your spine in some way. Just by opening up your hips and creating mobility in your legs. So now go ahead. I invite you to bring your hands to your knees, palms facing up. And at this point, you can close your eyes and begin to take in deep breaths through your nose, if able, and then out through your mouth. And then you can begin to slow your breath down by inhaling for 4 counts and exhaling for 4 counts. So inhaling for 1, 2, 3, 4, and exhaling for 1, 2, 3, 4. Good. And take another inhale. 1, 2, 3, 4, and exhaling 1, 2, 3, 4. And then next you can put your hands, one on your chest and one on your belly. And then take a deep breath in, expanding your belly for 1, 2, 3, 4, and exhaling for 1, 2, 3, 4. And as you inhale, go ahead and feel the breath go into your belly area first, followed by your rib cage, and then your collarbone. And then exhale from your collarbone, followed by your rib cage, and then your belly. And do this for a few more rounds of breath, inhaling from your belly, your rib cage, and your collarbone. Exhale, collarbone from the rib cage, and then your belly. And then I invite you to put your hands back on your knees, palms facing up. And from here, you can begin to reach one arm at a time up towards the sky and then over. And then putting that arm back down, take the other arm, reach up towards the sky and then over your head. And then back down again. Take the other arm, reach it up towards the sky as high as it goes, and then over your head. Good. and then back down again. Take the other arm, reach up towards the sky, and then over your head, and then back down again. Go ahead and reach. I love doing this stretch. Both arms out to the sides, and then try to, with your own body, just try to squeeze your arms behind you. Oh, this is a great stretch for clarinetists as well, especially because what you end up doing is I'm feeling this in my biceps and my forearms because I've been playing a lot, preparing music lately, that this is the opposite stretch of playing where everything's curled in. Yeah, nice. Go ahead, do some shoulder rolls. And then you can start to get bigger with the shoulder rolls, bigger rotations. And then you can start to roll shoulders the opposite way. And if you started with small circles, you can get larger. Good. From here, let's go ahead and stand, and you can take a standing position. And the standing position that I want to share with you all is called mountain pose. And it is where you can't see my feet, but you can take a look at your own feet and connect them both together, almost like Dorothy and the Wizard of Oz, you know, they're stuck together, glued to one another. And then go ahead and stick your hands out to their sides, palm facing forward, and notice how your elbow creases follow with it when your palm is facing forward. And then what you're going to do is keep your elbow creases facing forward if you can, but allow your palms to turn inward like so. So from here to here. Good. And then go ahead and feel the power in your legs, flex your quads, lift your toes. Notice how your weight shifts back into your heels when you lift your toes. And then go ahead and put toes down. Take a deep breath in. Exhale slowly. Good. From here, let's do a balancing pose. This is really helpful for focused mind and concentration. It gets us out of our minds and into our bodies and makes us work on balance. So from here, bring your hands together in front of your heart and shift the weight to your left foot and lift your right foot so that it meets your left, like so. And you can hold it there. Good. If you lose your balance, that's okay. Go ahead, and if you want more, you can raise your arms up towards the sky. Nice. Take a deep breath in. Exhale, hands together, and right foot sets down to meet the left. Go ahead and lift your toes. Feel your weight shift back into your heels. Again, put the toes back down on the ground and go ahead and lift your kneecaps so that your quads fire up. That helps with balance. Shift the weight to your right foot. And when you're ready, you can bring your left foot to meet your right calf like you did with the opposite leg. And then from here, go ahead. If you need help with balance, you can focus on one spot in front of you and go ahead, raise your arms up towards the sky. Good. And then bring hands back to heart center. Take a deep inhale. Exhale, lower your right or your left foot down to meet your right. And nice. Excellent work, guys. Those are a few poses, but I have a handout that I can share with Dr. Manazare with a lot of different poses that help with, hip opening, shoulder opening, and helps reduce stress, which is, I think, really helpful for end of semester.
Yeah, thank you so much. I have just a couple questions and I'd like to open it up to them. Yeah, is that okay? Sorry, I
Yeah.
didn't mean to interrupt. Okay.
Oh, no,
Um,
perfect.
Yeah, so balance, I think, is something that is really important in my own playing and teaching. Why do you think they should work on balance poses? What benefits does that bring to them?
I think there's a lot of different benefits. I'd love to hear what your thoughts are too. I think that what helps is if you're nervous when you're playing, often it looks as though someone's in their head a lot. And I think there's a lot of thoughts that end up going on internally. And I think balance is connected to groundedness, to connecting to the earth and the floor, and channeling yourself into the ground. And so I think balance is a connection to the earth and feeling grounded and steady and calm. Even if the piece is chaotic, you can still have a calm centeredness about you. I think is one of many different benefits. Well, I'd love to hear your thoughts on, what does balance mean to you and the benefits of performing?
Oh, I am not as eloquent as you are. Um, I use it similarly with balance, but also, I mean, obviously, the symmetry of our bodies are always off. So balance helps us, find those symmetries. But I use it to teach nerves and in myself because I teach them, when we're on stage, even though we're actually safe, our brain is registering fight or flight, so it thinks there's a bear. And so having your feet at a nice, like finding your grounding with your feet apart and your legs slightly balanced, gives you this feeling of being grounded. So if something came and attacked you, it
Absolutely.
wouldn't knock you over, and that calms your brain. It tricks your brain into thinking, I'm ready for the fight, so I can calm down.
Absolutely. I love it. I love it. I
So
think, yeah.
mine's with a bear. Yours is like feeling the earth.
Yeah, and those of you into zodiac signs, of course I'm an earth sign, like I no, I think it's what's cool too is if you do these especially balance poses with yoga, for example, if you guys just noticed if for say when you lifted your left leg and you're on your right, was that harder for you today than lifting your right leg being on your left? And that's going to change maybe tomorrow and the next day and the next day. It's interesting. I think also creating awareness helps you bring yourself back to center, like the fight or flight, right? So the little actions and the cues I gave, like lift your toes, notice this, and shift your weight this way, shift your weight that way. Try to keep your elbow creases open, and like it's when you're in the practice room. I think trying the same things or performing, because it's the fight or flight and it's the deer in the headlights and it's oh my gosh, I'm here playing right now. But the more you can notice and build awareness, and the more you can say, okay, there's people out on listening to me, there's somebody here with me playing, I'm going to connect with them, I've got this. I don't know, it's kind of one thing at a time, one step at a time.
Yeah, I feel like some of my best performances is when things kind of go in slow motion for me, and I'm just, as I'm doing whatever I'm doing, I'm just like, I feel, there's a breeze coming from this way, and I hear this thing happening, and I feel my toes curling in, and like it just turns into slow motion. So that awareness, and I don't know, I think it must have to do with the way that we practice our muscles and then allowing them to work by getting our mind out of the way. I think.
Absolutely.
I don't know. I'm no scientist.
Absolutely. I think, no, that's great. And I was pausing to think about it because that was a really great perspective. Like, oh, okay, letting, this take a pause. Yeah. I also feel like what's also connected to it is whenever, I have a student who's like, I'm nervous. It's one, that's totally normal. Two, check in with your breath and how's your breath. And I noticed that, you know, if you're nervous, you're going to find a tightness in your breath. It's going to be, you know, physically firm in your belly. So as you take a deep breath now, perhaps if you're calm, you can relax all the muscles, take a deep breath and notice the expansion of the belly. And then exhaling, you know, things of that nature. Oh man, yeah, there's a lot of benefits, especially to finding balance in performance. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Anybody here have any questions? They're all like, when can we eat dinner?
Oh yes, it
Burn
is
so many calories with balance.
Yeah, absolutely. And boat poses galore.
Yeah, well, thank you so much for joining us. As always, it's been so wonderful doing exchanges and working with you in so many different capacities, and I can't wait for us to continue to find ways to collaborate. I'd love to bring you, when the pandemic is over, to bring you in to do an in-person class on balance and breath and yoga. So just thank you from the bottom of my heart for coming. It's just so great to connect with you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me, Dr. Manazray. And it's wonderful to hear your students. And yeah, I can't wait to continue collaborating with you. I'm already so excited with and so stoked for what we've got planned and looking forward to the future too. And I hope you guys have a good dinner and good rest of your semester.
Yeah, thank you. Very good. All right, I'm going to stop the recording.